Hello, and welcome to On Leading with Greatness. I'm Jim Salvucci. This week's installment, leadership is a human relationship. Full stop. Situations have ended sad. Relationships have all been bad. Bob Dylan, you're going to make me lonesome when you go. Human relationships are hard. I don't think I'm shimmying out on a particularly precarious limb here. Our struggles to communicate can be so pronounced that we misunderstand the people who are closest to us. Most of us feel empathy and compassion, but many don't know how to act on those emotions. Others don't experience those emotions at all. Whatever the case, we don't know how to truly connect with others. Children grow distant from their parents. Spouses spend a lifetime grinding in disharmony. Friends stop being friends. And that's just the normal stuff. When there's a crisis or some other unfamiliar event, these natural rifts can expand. At the root of all these relational gaps, crossed wires, apprehensions, and misapprehensions lurks the self, the individual alone, which is precisely where the largest challenge bubbles up. We grapple to understand our very selves, to truly know who we are and where we stand in the world. We simply don't know ourselves. Meanwhile, despite that limitation, leaders must still lead others. Think of how fraught that little statement is. Here's another. Leaders relate. That is, leaders build, maintain, and expand relationships with people. That's literally the heart of what they do. But leaders are just as prone to the limitations of knowing others and the self as everyone else. The best leaders actively recognize those normal limitations and attempt to break through them, starting by coming to know the self as best they can. The challenge of knowing the self and then others can inspire true leaders. In the end, though, leaders too will struggle with human relationships. Consequently, it's easy to overlook the most basic lesson, the driver, the great secret of leadership that sits there before us, opaque and obvious. No secret at all. Leadership is just another type of human relationship. Leadership is not much different from friendship, animosity, acquaintanceship, or even romance. It harbors no mysteries that any of these or other human relationships hold. In this, it is not so unique. The pursuit of leadership must adhere to all the same rules as any relationship. The rewards of leadership, the real rewards, not the BS corner office stuff, but the intrinsic rewards, are also indistinguishable from those of any relationship. The challenges are the same too, as are the hazards and consequences. Screwing up your marriage and screwing up your team look about the same from even a short distance. The details, legalities, and social entanglements will diverge, but the mechanisms remain virtually identical. Poor communication, misplaced emotions, misunderstanding, betrayal, indifference. Any of these things and more will just as soon sink a team as a marriage. Same with success. The very qualities that make a marriage successful, solid communication, empathy, compromise, collaboration, will keep a team working together well. Again, the specific circumstances, scale, and details may differ, but the inputs are virtually the same. What do these positive relationships, the successful marriage, the effective team, have that their more limited counterparts lack? What do great leaders do that mere bosses fail to grasp? Successful relationships of any sort center on developing, cultivating, maintaining, and expanding trust. Leaders build relationships by establishing mutual trust with others, just as spouses do. To be sure, the word mutual is doing some serious work there. No romantic relationship will thrive if one person earns trust but the other doesn't. Come to think of it, that word earns is doing a lot of work too. Same with leaders and team members. They must earn trust from one another. Otherwise, they're not a team. They're just a group of people. They might as well be waiting on the corner for the same bus. One-sided trust can be noble in some situations, particularly if unconditional. And demonstrating such unconditional trust can inspire and encourage others to trust. But that's pretty rare and highly risky. The truth to take away here is simple but not easy. Leaders work hard, harder than most, at the challenge posed by human relationships. They often fall short. I have. A tough lesson I learned early on. From golden fool to golden rule. During the summer, after my first year of college, when I was 18 years old, a doofus, I was the technical director of a small community theater, an actual boss. It's funny now to think how young I was. I had employees, a budget, and full responsibility to make sure all the sets, lights, and sound were ready and working for every show we produced. At the time, my relatively lofty position seemed a natural progression. I had built sets in high school and had volunteered at that same community theater for years. The summer before, I was second to the technical director. Plus, my work-study job in college was building sets for the theater. I had a surprising amount of experience and some know-how for someone so young, and the absurdity of my age escaped me. My greatest qualification for the job, though, the real reason I was hired at the last minute to serve as the boss, was that no one else wanted to do it. Still, I felt ready for all that responsibility, although I had little idea how to manage a staff I didn't hire, along with an unruly herd of mostly teenage volunteers. I was a leader in title, but not in actuality. Fortunately, I had the sense not to replicate the errors of my predecessors, who had seen their role as bullying or ostracizing anyone who didn't conform to their whims. I had been talented and hardworking enough to avoid their wrath, but I witnessed the damage they did and the potential they squandered. I can't say I handled myself well in my first summer as the boss, which was capped by an ugly conflict with one of my team members. My number two and I also had a lot of friction, and he became unreliable. Notably, I hadn't gotten to hire either one of them, which is no excuse. I didn't blow every relationship, but I scuttled the key ones and undercut any chance at building trust. The result? I had to pick up on the considerable slack, so it was lucky that I was young and stupid and hardworking. I toiled all day, every day. The good news was that I mostly avoided disaster, but I had been a fool. The following summer, I had the same job, but came in with a different attitude. This time I got to hire my own staff, so I leaned on people I could trust. I also recognized our volunteers as an untapped resource and started actively cultivating them. Although most were in their teens, as young as 13, we had a number of adults too, which is good when you need someone to handle a circular saw. I also carefully managed my relationships with my employees. Nonetheless, as best I could, I tried to make everyone feel appreciated and useful, which is not how I had been treated when I first volunteered. It seemed foolish to me not to treat people well. The effort was challenging, even if it came naturally, but the rewards were immense. I personally did less work and got more done because my team acted and worked as a team. That's just a small taste of the benefits of mutual trust. It would be decades before I could understand or even articulate what I'd stumbled upon, but that summer offered my first inkling of the connection between leadership and human relationships. I was what I now call a gut leader, acting on instinct, not insight, driven by intuition, not understanding. It's golden rule stuff, really. Treat people the way you want to be treated, unless you enjoy mistreatment, I guess. I've always wondered how masochists navigate the golden rule. That little tidbit of wisdom will carry you as far as a leader. Better yet, treat others as they wish to be treated, which is sometimes called the platinum rule. Or how about this? Maybe just treat others with human decency? That last one you may recognize as an imperative of leadership just as much as it's an imperative of humanity. Why so many bosses miss this basic truth remains a mystery. Since leadership is merely another form of human relationship, we'd be wise to approach it as such. Just as I'd hope you'd cultivate and maintain the other relationships in your life, you should cultivate the relationships you develop as a leader. Consider what you do to successfully navigate friendships, family, and simple human interactions, and then adopt and adapt that in your leadership practice. Also, avoid the behaviors that have threatened your other relationships as you develop your leadership relationships. To be clear, I'm not making some trite analogy that leadership is similar to human relationships. I'm saying that leadership is a human relationship, full stop. Cultivate it as you would any other relationship you care about. Struggle with it as you would any other human relationship. Work on it. That's how you do leadership the right way, by being a human being among human beings. I hope leaders who find conventional business wisdom lacking get clear on what great leadership actually requires, without mystical formulas, listicle strategies, or guru BS. If you're looking for this sort of leadership help, or if you just like my writing, send me an email, jim@jimsalvucci.com. For weekly updates, become a free or paid subscriber. Thanks to my subscribers, especially those of you who have opted to pay. Your support keeps me writing, and I hope keeps you reading, sharing, and thinking.